All right, guys, man. Welcome to the Narrative Talkback, man. We are with my man Jamal, man. We're gonna be talking a little bit about just Derrick Rose trade rumors. We're gonna talk about some Derrick Rose trade rumors. We're gonna talk about some just Pistons and some things we've seen, and we're gonna just chop it up today, man, and just have a good little conversation and make this thing work today. So, what's up, Jamal? How you feeling, brother?
I'm great, my brother. Like I said, I love your show. I love what you're doing with your show.
Man, I appreciate your feedback, man. I appreciate all the energy you've been putting into these groups, man, and the things you do, man. Yeah, me and you think a lot alike, but we don't always agree on everything. But we
We
think
we
we think
we
a lot
sure
alike.
do.
We just don't always agree on how to get there, but we definitely think a lot alike. So, what you thinking about this? The big deal, man. I'm saying our current big deal with the trade rumors and everything.
Well, I'm hoping we can get a little bit more. That I'm not really a fan of that guy. The
Uh
guy
huh.
that I'm not a fan of his, but I'm hoping we can get a little bit more. And what
Mm-hmm.
this does with us is it opens up a roster spot for the one of the younger guards to get some time.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping too, because they are the Knicks. I am hoping that they can take Blake Griffin with them. I'm praying to God that we can move him by the deadline. If we can't, just hold on to him and that'll be net for next year. But
So
I like I want Mitchell Robinson, either him
okay.
or uh, or maybe a second round pick.
Mm,
I would be content with that. I mean, just to be honest, man, it's time for these him and Blake Griffin to get off this roster. So
mm-hmm.
I'm content with moving, both of them.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk Dream World and then let's talk like Dream World. I know you like it's just Mr. Robinson, but how would you think it will be able to happen for us to like potentially get a Mitchell Robinson? Like what do you think will be the scenario that will have to happen? Like what will we have to give up?
What would we have to give up? I would give him Ellington. I'll give him Ellington, and I would give him and I don't know if they would do it, but again,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, they're the Knicks. I will give him Ellington. I will give him Plumlee,
Okay.
and give him Derrick Rose,
Okay.
and 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 um and Mitchell Robinson, and a second. I would take a second round pick. I wouldn't. I mean, if they want to give us a first, that's cool. But I don't know if they would do it. But that's who I would want, in return for Derrick Rose. Hey, I don't know if I don't know if you went on Knicks Nation, but their
Mhm.
fan base is not happy with it. Man, the comments are absolutely hilarious, dude. They are. It's funny, man. It's
So they don't.
absolutely
So
funny.
I'm not on the Knicks Nation thing. So are they like they're not feeling like the road trip
No,
at all?
no, they don't want Derrick Rose. They
Wow.
do not want Derrick Rose. It is funny too, man. They're just like no, because they have Quickly's over there, and they feel
Yeah.
like if he comes
Yeah,
there,
that's good.
he
Yeah,
would
that's a good point.
he would take minutes from him and stunt the growth of them of their young guards over there. They got a lot of young guards over there that do a lot of the same things. So I figured they could probably get well, I don't want the French dude. I don't want him.
Okay.
I prefer Dennis Smith Jr. Um, don't know don't know if they will are they willing to part with him, but
I think they would. You know, they just sent him to
to the
the G
G
League.
League.
They just sent to the G League, and I expressed earlier my good friend Chris Bass. He keeps me accountable for the things I say. He keeps me very accountable to the things I say, and I would say that my perspective is Dennis Smith Jr. He has an abundance of talent, um, and he has untapped talent. And I don't know if it's coaching, I don't know if it's systems, I don't know if it's teams, but he has had issues with teams, and it's back to back. It's Dallas, and then he goes to Knicks. And I know you like, oh, it's the Knicks organization, but he's also had like we can call Coach Thibodeau. I don't know how you feel about him, but I call him a pretty solid coach. So I know he
He
puts a
is.
lot of emphasis on defense. He put a lot of emphasis on system. So that's 2 times he had coaches like Rick Carlisle for me is my second favorite Piston coach of all time. So,
Fair enough.
so I'm big on Rick Carlisle. So I know what he can do. So to me, it's like it's 2 coaches who I have I have a real high level Rick Carlisle, but a respect level for in the league, and you haven't worked it out with them. So it goes to like, is it a talent issue like that, or is it like does he have that in my conversation? Is it I want to be the featured guy, and I feel like you come to the Pistons. Will he be the featured guy when you already talking about like Killian Hayes and you're talking about potentially even drafting other guards in the future? Like, what how does that dynamic work with a guy like him? Versus, I feel like a guy like Frank, who's a development player, and you already have a clone. I already said our Frank clone is Killian. They're the same players. You may give Frank a little bit more. He may be a little bit faster than Killian, but they're the same player. You know what I mean? So that's my only pros and cons about
I
both guys.
think the thing. I think the thing with Dennis Smith Jr. in Dallas was Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to go in a different direction, and I don't think Luka was a primary ball handler.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the issue with Dennis Smith Jr. is he cannot play without the basketball. It's a lot of players that are not as effective without the basketball, and he's one of them. So he hasn't learned how to play without the basketball. Here, under Casey would be interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see that. Some of his decision making is erratic, to say the least.
Yeah,
but
I would definitely be bored with him coming here. I would take him over the French dude any day.
we tired of French players. We had our fill of French players.
Man, listen, I don't know what it is with us and us drafting foreign players, but it's not working for us, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's player development, but the last good foreign player we drafted was Mehmet Okur.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna say we gave him away. We let him go. Just something about the foreign players we get, man, they just don't work out.
And I think the only other one we really got that was even decent, and to me would probably be Zelly. Well, if you depending on how you rock him, Zelly the Rocha, he was pretty solid.
Oh, I liked him too, but we didn't draft him though. We didn't draft him.
Yeah, you're right. But he was like our last guy you would look at, Jonas is solid, but yeah, man. So for the Derrick Rose situation, how do you think we could potentially? Cause I heard you say it. How do you think we could potentially move Blake? How do you think that we could package Blake? And if we package Blake, and I put this in the group, it's just a filler, just to throw stuff out there. It's no rumors or nothing to mention. It's just me just throwing random. I feel like we would have to throw in a Sekou, or we would have to throw in a Killian Hayes in there, like something that's a real bait grab for that to happen.
You would have to, me and Barack talked about this all the time. In order to move Blake, they would have to give up either a draft pick or, like you said, a young player, or in return, they would have to take on a bad contract.
Oh yeah, the bad contract. Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm not willing to do either.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I will hold on to Blake. Or what could happen, you better pray that a team like the Jazz, will want him for Mike Conley. I don't know if they would do it. I've heard Miami. I've heard another team, but it would have to be a contender, and it would have to be someone that had a team that has the salary to take on his contract.
Yeah, I think that, and I did a video, and I did one of the videos on the. And by the way, guys, or anybody ever watching these groups, I would say the same thing, man. Support my YouTube page if you can. It's the narrative, it's Elder, the narrative, and then DPC, Detroit Pistons Central, always add, like, share, add people to the group, and Detroit Piston News always add, like, share people to the group, and support all Detroit Piston groups because all the admins work really hard to keep those things active. But I did a video on Blake Griffin. I ran through scenarios of like potentially what could happen with him. And my trade scenario was like it is taking on the contract. And it's just the idea like, are we willing to take on a contract for Blake Griffin that goes beyond 2022? Because that's the only contracts that'll be available that we're gonna do. Like I said, one scenario will be, would you take on, so let me just ask because why you have it here, it's a little bit shifting from the conversation, but would you take on let's go. What's the proper name? God, he's played for Dallas with Luca. He came from the Knicks, the big guy.
Porzingis?
Yeah, would you take
Yes,
Porzingis for
yes,
Blake, even
yes,
though he has the injury history and his
yes.
contract is and goes to
You know
about
why?
2025?
Because he can shoot it. He's still young and he can still develop. So
Okay.
absolutely, I would be willing to take that on. Yes.
Okay.
Huh?
Eric Gordon, and his contract
No,
goes till
no,
2025.
nope, nope.
So,
I,
and that's what I'm trying to say. So those are the only contracts. When I looked at my like the list of contracts in the NBA, it's only about 3 contracts that a team may say that makes sense. Like now, Blake makes sense no more for Houston because they moved on from Harden and they've gone more young, that type of thing. So it'll make sense. But he would make sense for maybe a team like Dallas if they were trying to get from under that Porzingis contract. If they were trying to get from under his contract, that's a team that will make sense because that'll be only 1 year. They don't have to pay, then they get all that cash space to get into free agency. And then you get rid of Porzingis contract, who goes to about 2025, and he's making like $36 million a year up to about 2025, 2026. But yeah, it's just interesting, man. What do you think that Derek, what do you think that Dennis Smith Jr. will bring to the team? And then I'm gonna ask you, what do you think Frank will bring to the team if those trades did take place?
well, as far as Dennis Smith, I think he brings tempo. I think
Mm-hmm.
the Pistons would run a whole lot more, and there will be more opportunity. More the offense will open up a lot more, and as far as the other guy, I can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, we just gonna call him Frankie. We're gonna call him Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie. I just think that he's just a slightly faster version of Killian
Yeah.
to me.
I just feel like it's weird to go get a guard. I wish we would get another position. I think it's weird to get a guard because I think that's not our, you know what I mean? I just don't think that's our thing to get another point guard type player. I just don't think that's our, I don't know. It's not our Achilles heel right now. You know what I mean? It's not our thing. I think to get another point guard, it's almost to feel like we got a young guy like either guard. And these are ball handling guard. They don't shoot well or anything like that. And to get either one, you're basically saying you're creating a competition for Killian Hayes. And I do not think Killian Hayes can overcome either one of those guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. Right now, if Killian Hayes come back, I'm not starting no more with DeLon Wright. I'm not putting him over DeLon Wright.
Hey,
And
hey,
if you go ahead.
hey, Elder. I can like barely hear you. You're faint. I don't know if it's my phone.
Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. You're like really, really low.
All right, I'm gonna try something new. Let me try something else. Let me try this.
Oh, I can't hear you at all now.
Can you hear me now?
Like really, it's really, really low.
All right, then it might be on your side.
Huh?
It might be on your side a little bit.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna get off and then get back on if that's okay.
Okay, that's cool. Hey guys, if you want to jump in on this stream, let me know. I just not inbox you, Dennis. If you want to jump in on this stream with me and let me know what's popping, jump on and we can talk a little bit of this trade talk, a little bit of these things. We're gonna be right back with you guys in 1 minute. Hope everybody can hear me. Hope I'm not too I'm faint. I know what they said that my voice was dropping low. Hope you guys can hear me well. Hope everything is projecting well. If you can catch me in the comments, let me know if you guys can hear me pretty decently on the stream. If you guys can hear me, let me know. I appreciate it. I can see your comments. So if you can hear me really well, just let me know if you can hear me well in the comment section. I appreciate that. Jamal going to be right back with us, and we're just going to continue to talk a little bit about the trade and some different things that are popping and going on. Once again, I hope you guys can hear me pretty decently, and I'm not too faded. Sometimes that's you deal with technical difficulties a little bit, but yeah, man, I'm excited about the direction of his team, like moving with more of a youth feel to it, and I want to talk it up with Jamal and just to see where his heart is at with the direction that we're going. But if any of you guys want to jump on this stream with me, if you guys interested, you can hit me in my inbox and I'll send you the stream link. If you guys have time, you can feel short enough, jump in, just hit my inbox up. Yeah, man, I'm excited about the direction of this team, like moving with more of a youth feel to it. And I want to talk it up with Jamal and just to see where his heart is. I'm excited about the direction of his team. Like, so how we feeling? How we feeling, Pistons fans, man? So this is why. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about last night's game with the Lakers a little bit too. I feel like the Lakers, man. This Piston team, I love what LeBron said. It's like we bring out the best in the Pistons. I wish that we could channel all of that into every game. The way that the way that Jamal was describing the Pistons and the way we've seen with even the DeLon Wright, I think it's a really awesome thing. I'm gonna add you in here. What's up, brother? How you doing, man? Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm doing all right. Yourself?
Good, good, good. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, yeah, hear you good, man. How you feeling about the trade rumors and all the speculations?
Well, man, I want to say I did think that the Pistons would move on from Derrick Rose at some point throughout the season to avoid letting him walk freely as a free agent in the offseason because this is the final year of his deal. So I wasn't surprised by the rumors. I'm just surprised at who's being discussed.
Okay. So if you had to get caught between the two, you had to choose between Frank and Dennis Smith Jr., who you choosing and why?
Obviously, I'm going with Dennis Smith Jr. because he's already proven that he can play in this league. You know,
Okay.
he did a lot of good things for the Dallas Mavericks before he was traded to the New York Knicks, and he actually didn't play bad before the Knicks brought in Tom Thibodeau. I believe
Mm,
he just I believe he just fell into a bad situation. I mean, and sometimes young players like Dennis Smith Jr., who Jamal said play with the ball, they might need to change the scenery to kind of restart their career. I don't know if it
yeah.
fit into what Tom is doing with the Knicks, or I'm a basketball coach myself. He may not be working in
Mm-hmm.
practice. I mean, and myself,
Yeah.
as a basketball coach perspective, I'm not just giving minutes away. If you're not working in practice, you gotta come in practice and work.
Yeah. No, no, no. I agree, and I think it's once again, this is my good brother Chris Bass. If he's watching, if he get a chance to catch it, I say he holds me accountable for the things I say. But I would say my knock on Dennis Smith Jr. is actually it's not his talent. I think that he has an idea in his head. Like when he started in Dallas, I watched the start in Dallas. Right, they was really hyping him up as the second coming. They was hyping him up as the franchise. So you get this hype as the franchise, and then a year later, Luca comes. You know what I mean? And you're not the franchise no more. Oh,
Absolutely,
okay.
and that's sort of kind of how I feel about us Piston fans by saying that hey, we took Killian in this year's, which I was one of the biggest critics of taking Killian, but I
Mm-hmm.
understand why we took him to to just say in this upcoming year we're going to take another point guard, but we just took Killian.
Yeah.
I get it that he got hurt, but what are you saying for Killian to take another point guard in the first round again after you just took me 7 overall? That's the only thing I'm saying. When you give the keys player, give it to him. I mean, but if you're
No,
gonna give it to him and take it back and give it to him and take it back, that kills the player's confidence.
I feel the same way, and that's what I'm trying to say. If you get a Dennis Smith Jr. on this team, or if you get a Frank on this team, I think they're going to come and play well, and I think it puts a lot of pressure on the Killian Hayes because I don't. I think Derrick Rose is like, I'm turning the keys over to you. Derrick Rose is like, hey, I want to get you ready. I'm gonna turn. This is not my team. I know this is not my team. I may have a year left on this team. I'm giving this to you. These other guys are going to come like, I'm trying to make a name for myself, and it's a different energy. It's not gonna be that, oh, we brothers and I'm gonna take care of you, little one. These gonna be like dog eat dog, and I
Oh,
just don't know if Killian can handle that,
I agree.
and especially Dennis Smith Jr. Dennis Smith Jr. He wants to be a starter. He doesn't want to be a backup. So I think when you think about a Dennis Smith Jr., I think when you think about, I think Frank may work well a little bit. When you think of Dennis Smith Jr., Dennis Smith Jr. is going to want to be a starter. I don't think he want to come into the role as a backup, man. So this is a narrative, guys. I got a little bit more time, man. If any of you guys want to jump on, just hit my inbox or look inside of the comment section. I'll put the stream link inside of the comment section. If you want to pop on, just hit the link. You'll bring you straight in. But yeah, man. So I just think about the pros and cons of players and what is this team trying to build and what are the angles that we're trying to create? What type of perspectives that we want this team to look like? It all matters in these trades and the players that we bring in. This synergy and this connectivity that we're seeing amongst these players is important right now. It's important. And it's important to the development of Killian. It's important to the development of Bay. It's important to the development of Lee. It's important to the development of Stewart. It's important to the development of Sekou. And even if we think about Sekou, like, is Sekou tradable? Do we think about putting Sekou out there as a trade option? Do we consider it? Do we consider moving Sekou? Do we consider packaging Sekou? So one of the offers, one of the trades I put out there, and I just would love to hear you guys' feedback. Would you take Killian Hayes? Would you trade Derrick Rose, Killian Hayes, Sekou for Frank or Dennis Smith Jr., Obi Toppin, and a future first round pick from the Knicks? For me, it's a yes. Because if you're bringing in another guard, if your whole thing is you're bringing in a guard like Dennis Smith Jr., Frank, you're already bringing in a guard, a young guard, and then you're already looking at potentially drafting another guard. It becomes a very it starts to give you that vibe like what the Minnesota Timberwolves did when they put all of the players on the same team. When they drafted like Flynn and they drafted Rubio and all these guards. It's like eventually it's not all going to work out, man. It's going to become backed up. It's going to become jacked up. And I love what we're seeing from our Pistons right now, man. There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of fight. I know some of you guys believe that that's not happening. That wouldn't happen on court with Blake Griffin or wouldn't happen with Wayne Ellington. But I believe the veterans are the ones who are really implanting these messages into them. So I said earlier in the year that maybe at this part of the season where you will see a Blake Griffin being rested more and you'll see Blake Griffin minutes go down. And I think if you look on his last 10 or 8 games, Blake Griffin's only playing I think he only played over 30 minutes one time. The rest of the games he's playing like 20, 25 minutes or he's been resting. So right now we're seeing more young people, more of the young youth movement moving into it. So I just believe that bringing in another player, another young guy is good. But the issue is what happens when Killian is healthy again? Now he has to battle against these other guards to get this time. And do we think Killian is capable of being able to compete at that level? So that is the question. Do you think Killian is capable of competing at that level? I'm just looking at some of the comments we got. We got some of the comments. Let's see. Some of the comment section says right on. It says, I want Dennis Smith Jr. He was a beast in Dallas. Dennis Smith Jr. and Killian Hayes could start together like the Cavs backcourt. Yep, I agree. Dennis Smith Jr. and Killian Hayes could start together in the backcourt. I think they could play off each other. Actually, I see Killian Hayes as being eventually he being better off the ball than actually on ball. So I definitely agree with that statement. He said, Dennis, this Dennis said, I would compare that to Jaleel Okafor, Noel, and Joel conundrum that Philly had. Sometimes you have to get the best player and get something in return. I agree. You got to get the best player and get something in return. That's why I feel like I would be ideally if we can do something to move Killian, to move Derrick Rose, and we get something in return. But I believe you got to be careful, kind of jamming up the same position. Something is not going to go right when you just get a bunch of talent and you just start to jam up the same position if they can't play out for everyone. Does Killian go right back to being a starter when he come back? That's a good question. I say no. I don't think Killian goes back to being the starter when he comes back. First off, coming off a surgery, coming off an injury like that, he's going to be rusty. He's going to be dusty. And he wasn't good when he was starting. Let's be honest. He just wasn't good. Whether it was just shaking off the sea legs. So I don't think he can come back as a starter, man, unless some type of injury happened. I just don't see him coming back as a starter. Reading some more comments. I think Killian will get minutes. I'm going to add Jamal back in here. I think Killian will get minutes. We probably trade Ellington soon. Steve has been barely getting minutes all year, and Wright is a combo guy. I agree, but let me say this about Steve. Steve is inconsistent, and he don't defend, and he don't pass, and he don't create. He does one thing, and his one thing is inconsistent. So when Wayne Ellington came in, Wayne Ellington for that 7-game stretch, Wayne Ellington was doing exactly what we receive an opportunity to do, but he wasn't making the shots. But in that time, I believe Wayne Ellington's stock rose higher. Welcome back, Jamal. Can you hear me good, brother?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear now, man.
Yeah, good. So we had Dennis. He jumped on. He chatted it up with us a little bit. But go ahead.
I was asking, what did I miss?
Oh no, we were just kind of keeping up. Dennis, so Dennis jumped on and he was just saying how he believes that if we keep bringing all these guards in, it can start to affect Killian Hayes' confidence. Like they don't believe in me and everything like that. So we bring a Dennis Smith Jr., a Frank, and then we go and draft a Suggs or a Cade or another guard. It's like it starts to put that like, why did we even draft him in the first place if you bringing in all these guards?
This is how I feel. If you want to play, if you want to stay in this league, if you want to prove yourself, man up and ball out. That's how I feel. It don't matter who they bring in. You play your position and you prove people wrong. That's how you do that, man. I'm all about in this draft, best player available, and if we get the number 1 pick for me, easily is Cade Cunningham.
That's my God. I've only seen one game here. I've seen one. Like I sat down and watched the game. I've only seen one, but when I watch him play, man, he reminds me of a little bit more. I'm gonna say a little bit, a more athletic Luka. Like he just gets free to do what he wants, and you're like, he's doing what he wants. And I can see that type of game when you get to the NBA, and it opens up more. That floor opens up more, and you can't zone him every play, every possession. That kid gonna go nuts at the next level.
He is, and I watched him yesterday. He didn't have a real good game yesterday. He shot poorly, but he still went up with 19 points, and he almost stole the ball and he missed the layup at the end of I think it was I think it went to the end of regulation. They wound up going to overtime and they won it. But he had 19. He finished with 19 and 7 yesterday.
He would be your guy over Green, Suggs, and all them other guys? He would be your guy?
Absolutely, he would be. And I'm going to tell you something else, too. And I'm calling my shot. I called my shot on the post game yesterday. Mm-hmm. We're getting the number 1 pick.
Okay.
And the reason why I feel that way is because it's our turn. It is our turn. Everybody else has gotten the number 1 pick. I know the NBA, everybody feels like the NBA hates us, but I'm playing the odds, man. Why not Detroit? Why not? Yeah. So that's how I feel about it.
I believe, and I like you. And I said this to my guy Kamal. Kamal is in he's one of the admins in our group. I said I do kind of want it both ways now. End of the day, I prefer the top three pick. End of the day, that's I believe that's the direction this team is going. But you also kind of like you like what we saw with the Lakers yesterday. Like they're part of our heart. We really want to beat the Lakers. Like we really want to beat
Oh,
the Lakers.
I was mad when they called the foul on on Plumlee. He got
Yeah,
all the ball. I'm gonna tell you that's a bad rule. That is a
yeah.
horrible rule. That should have been piston ball, side out of bounds. But they
Oh,
called
with
it
the jump ball when he turned it into a jump ball when he got it off of like he straight
jump ball.
from LeBron.
And LeBron went straight to the basket and he tied
Yeah,
the stick. That made all to me. That made all the difference in the world right there.
yeah,
All the difference in the world right there. That I mean, yeah, we won the challenge, but we should have gotten the ball. That should not have been jump ball at mid court. Don't
yeah.
like.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. And I don't see how they. I love that you can challenge plays, but I didn't like the result of that challenge play. I think
Well,
that should have been
what
pissed off.
what should have happened was like in football, if there's a an inadvertent whistle, what happens is they like if someone fumbles the ball and the other team recovers, they get the ball at that spot. So
Mm,
what should have happened was when there was a clear possession, the Pistons clearly had the possession. It wasn't a loose ball or LeBron didn't hold on to the ball or he didn't finish the play or anything like that. There was a clear possession by the Pistons, and the Pistons should have gotten the ball.
yeah.
That's a bad rule. They need to adjust it. But
Let's switch topic up a little bit. This is somebody who I was a little bit critical of. And every time I'm critical of a player, that's when they go nuts that same day to kind of make me look like I don't know what I'm talking about. So I was being critical of Josh Jackson and his play over the last 15 games. It wasn't his play over the last 15 games. And I said that he reminded me of Bruce Brown. And when I said a reminder of Bruce Brown, it was at this last 15 games, shooting poorly, struggling in offense, and mainly just defending. And then he goes off for 28 points. So, but what do you think Josh Jackson's ceiling is with us? Oh, I done froze my man face with that one.
hey, Bruce Brown. Listen, first of all, I love Bruce Brown when he was here.
Right.
I really did. I love Bruce Brown when he was here. I wish we wouldn't have traded him, but that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
What I did like, yeah, he struggled offensively, but what I did like was he didn't lose his defensive edge. I mean,
Yeah.
he still hustled. He still played hard. You get some guys that like you brought up Speed when his
Mhm.
shot isn't falling, man, he's pretty much useless.
Yeah.
With Josh Jackson, if he doesn't have the offense going, he's playing hard and he's playing defense. And I have nothing but I can't do nothing but respect that. And you have to leave a guy out there that's producing defensively because we don't have that many good defenders on this team.
No. I agree. And like I said, I was critical of him, but I was literally looking at the totality of the last 14, 15 games. And he was shooting before that game, he was shooting 34% from the field, 29%
I
from three.
also think that ankle injury had a lot to do with that
Yeah,
too.
I think he had a slow comeback. But I say he started the season strong, then he had the ankle injury. Then he came back and he struggled shooting, but he was even shooting like threes. He was still shooting at threes like pretty low, around about 31%, and he was still taking a high level of shots. But if this is, I'm not saying you gotta be 28 points per game, Josh Jackson, or 20 points per game, but if he can give us that, do you kind of start to move him into your start? Do you start to look at him because next year will be his last year of his contract? Are you extending that and do you give him that a 3-year deal, 4-year deal? And you starting to think about it that way, Do you start? Because you know that's one. This is year one. If he finishes this season on that streak, now I'm not even saying 20, like 15, 16 points a game. He's looking good. Now he goes into the summer. Now he's a hot commodity guard, only 24 years old. Do you start to think about locking him in with a contract extension or redoing his contract?
Well, this is what you do in a situation like this. I think things happen for a reason. This is going to play itself out.
Mm-hmm.
What's going to happen is if he doesn't get hurt, he's going to ball out.
Yeah.
And you try to work out a deal with Josh Jackson. You definitely try. Don't know if you're going to get a hometown discount. However,
Mm-hmm.
if you and hear this message good, and you can give this to Weaver and Gores. If you are listening to this, if you cannot work out a deal, an extension with Josh Jackson, you must trade him. But try to work out a deal first. Try to work out a deal first. And don't wait too late either. Don't wait too late. Don't wait too late.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Drummond. They waited too late to trade Drummond, and they got absolutely no value for him. I mean, that's what happened. But yeah, that's kind of a good situation to be in.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm rooting. It's not a Piston on this roster who I'm not rooting for. That's not one. We went, even though Killing Hayes was not my pick, and I would never say he was my pick. I'm not rooting against Killing Hayes. Like, I'm not rooting against him. I'm not rooting against like nobody on this roster because I feel like everybody has these short contracts that if they play well, they can be moved. Like you mentioned, Plumlee. If Plumlee plays well, honestly, some team might say, "Man, we really need a Plumlee right now." You know what I mean? So,
you know, I was talking to Mike Gonzalez yesterday, and we were talking about the contracts the Pistons signed these players to, and he was saying that this is like when Dumars and Van Gundy. I said this is nothing like that.
Yeah.
First of all, when they signed those free agents, they signed them to 4 or 5 year deals. None of these free agents have a contract over 3 years.
Nope, not even Jeremy.
Not even Jeremy Grant, and also too, DeLon Wright also has an expiring next year. So you could move him. I mean, all of these contracts are movable, and I wouldn't do this or recommend doing this. So disclaimer out there.
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant. I mean, even if a team swept me off my feet with the nice package, anything short of Zion or Brandon Ingram, I'm not moving Grant. Not doing it.
Even though he's like, I'm gonna say he's in his prime. Let's just call him in his prime. I just love what he does, man. Jamal and I grew Jamal Rucker. He pointed out that there was a play when he gets fouled, he hits the ground, and the ball starts, and he's like the first person off the ground to get back and do a chase down block, like to challenge blocking up and like the hustle that he does, like on both sides of the ball. Like he was defending LeBron. Like, he's like they had to keep switching. They was seriously setting up switching to get him off of LeBron. They kept on switching. But then he literally was like he was carrying us, man. It's been like 3 games this year that he's been really close to hitting us that game, whether at the end of regulation or the end of overtime. Like floaters just barely missing, not getting the bounce. But he's shown me way more. My first concern about Jeremy Grant when we first got him. So Reginald Funches, he said in our group, we were doing. I don't know if he was on it, but I know that I'm trying to think who was on that Zoom. I don't think he was on it, but we did a Zoom, and the Zoom conversation was, who are the free agents that you will want and not want? And he brought up Jeremy Grant, and I think all of us like, nah, we good. Because we were just like, I don't think we crazy about him. This was like in the summer. Like then happens and we get him. I think everybody was kind of like, oh, okay, Jeremy Grant, whatever. But then my question was, can he score an ISO? Because we know he can shoot, we know he can defend, 3D guy. I had no clue that this guy had levels like this. Like, and he look like he's getting better. It does, like defenses are adjusting, and like he's a cerebral cerebral guy. Like he sees the floor differently than some guys do. So I'm very excited about it. I agree, man. It would take a lot.
I am too. And it a lot of people were disappointed about Christian Wood not being here. And I was one, and I'm not gonna say I was disappointed, but I was okay with letting him walk
Yeah,
simply because of the money that he wanted. I wasn't willing to pay him that, but it worked out for him and it worked out for us. I mean,
yeah,
because we wound up getting Jeremy Grant. Um, and also he's also flourishing because he's playing with elite guards.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh yeah,
that that's another reason why he's down there flourishing.
yeah. It would. Well, I pray he returns well from his injury. But yeah, it's a very different bag than what will be happening here. Here, he be he's not like Jeremy Grant. Like Jeremy Grant is now becoming like a facilitator. He's setting up, making basketball easy for Plumlee. I've been seeing him in the last few games making basketball easy for Plumlee. That wouldn't be what Wood can do.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. When Plumlee first got here, whoo, man, and I know it was preseason, but he was awful.
Yeah,
I mean, he couldn't hold on to the ball. He was missing layups. He couldn't guard nobody. Man, I will admit I was wrong about Plumlee. He has had some games where he was somewhat subpar, but it was nothing like preseason. He was awful. I'm like, man, get this guy.
offensively, you can tell. Offensively, you can tell that Blake Griffin is mentoring him or showing him stuff. He plays like the way he kind of uses his body, the way he does that little bump hook shot like thing, like that little bump. It's like he's doing a lot of things in the post that looks like Blake Griffin. So you know that Blake Griffin really spending some time with Plumlee, and I think that Plumlee. You wish you could get him at a young age. I wish we could get like this Plumlee at like 27 verse 31. But I think he surprised me with just his effort. Like he plays very, very hard.
He does.
He plays with a lot of effort. And now he's put a little bit skill into some of that effort as well.
I think this whole team plays hard. The only person on this team, in my opinion, that does not play hard is Joker for. That's who doesn't play
He's a
hard.
disappointment to me, man.
I mean, he has all the tools in the world, man. He just don't bring it, man. He just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. I did a post and I said I was like reading this stuff about I'm gonna work hard, I'm ready for a second chance and everything like that. But it just seemed like, man, it's like he can't get out of his own head. I don't know what it is. It's like when he's motivated, and the only time he seems like he's motivated is when he played drumming. when he's motivated, he's like he got the footwork, he got the hook shot, he got the little mid range, but he just don't seem. He's like a guy who's like, I'm here, I'm skilled, I'm big, but I really don't want to do this. Like I just want to go knit somewhere. You know what I mean? He just like I don't. It's like he's doing it because it's his job. Like it's like I said, it's different between having a career and having a job. A career is something you're passionate about that you chose. A job is something like I'm good enough to do this and it pays the bills. And I feel like that's what basketball is to him. I'm 7 feet tall. I'm good enough to pay the bills. There's always going to be a need for me in this arena. There's always going to be a need for me. Like there's always going to be a need for a 7-footer, to do something or to sit on your bench. Even if I'm sitting at the end of your bench and I don't get engaged, just to have a 7-footer. It's like, and I don't know what it is about him, man. But I was hoping that. But yeah, he may not even be on the roster next year. I could see them. He might not be. They might trade him. They may trade him in this package.
They could just flat out waive him because he's getting the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not getting paid a whole lot. So, yeah, they could just.
He's like an insurance plan at this stage. He's just like an insurance plan. Like Stewart has taken his minutes. Plumlee and Stewart, they get all of the minutes.
I'm gonna tell you, man. I wish Stewart would get any inkling of an offensive game. Give me a jump.
Oh yeah.
Give me a 10 to 15 foot jump shot, and just and play consistently under control. I mean, he has his moments where
he gets into foul trouble. That's the part I worry about with him and him starting is him picking up 2 quick fouls in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Can't do that. But I would love to. I would like for him to start.
Do you see Ben Wallace in him? Or let me ask this, let me set this up. If you were a Knicks fan and you had Stewart, you still compare him to Ben Wallace, or would you
No.
say Charles Oakley?
He's a little bit more skilled than Charles Oakley.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little bit more skilled than Charles Oakley. He reminds me of the one of the Davis boys in Indiana. You remember them?
Yeah, Dale Davis and Antonio Davis. Mm-hmm.
That absolutely reminds me of. This a little bit shorter, but reminds me of them.
And that's what I'm trying to share with Pistons fans. And I hope the viewers who listen, who watch the playback, we need to stop every time there's a blue collar guy who joins this team. They are not Ben Wallace. And I love Ben Wallace, and I like Stewart, but he doesn't play like Ben Wallace. He doesn't look like Ben Wallace. It's just they're not the same. I get their work ethic, dog, but they're not the same.
And a side note on Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley is one of my favorite players.
Mm-hmm.
I hate and he's the way the Knicks treated him is one of the reasons why I don't like the Knicks.
Yeah.
And the other one is because of how they did Spike Lee. But yeah, I like Charles Oakley as a player. I mean, he could have fit in here as a Piston. Would have loved him.
Yeah, but I love your Dale Davis and Antonio Davis, Dale Davis, Antonio Davis. I love that comparison because I don't think there's a knock on a guy who can be a blue collar dog, who could be a part of Udonis Haslam. You know what I mean? He's been part of the Miami Heat organization his whole career, and it's nothing wrong with guys like that. I put Ben Wallace as very elite level type of player. And that's been very few players like him. So I put him very high up on those unique level player type of stats, at least as a Piston.
Yeah, Ben Wallace, I think, man, people fell in love with winning, and this organization the past 10 years has not been good. So
yeah,
when they see a player like Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
And they see flashes of what he could be. That's why you get the comparisons because of that. We haven't won anything. So
yeah, but like I said, he's a good player. But like you said, I would love to see that offense just go to one more level. I think that I've seen him work on that jumper. So I watched him. I went back and watched some college tape of him to even post draft, like in the last couple of weeks, I watched by some college stuff of him. And he does have a nice offensive game, but I also feel like he's moving really fast at this NBA level. Like he's like somebody told him, just be physical and don't worry about fouls. That's what somebody told him. Don't worry about fouls. It's something had to be said because the way he plays. But I said he's the only person I've seen hard foul everybody. He doesn't do, but that's good though. But he doesn't do any ticky-tack fouls. You remember when Giannis came into Giannis? I'm talking about the game against everybody fouls Giannis like they're afraid to touch him. He doesn't think that. LeBron, he doesn't think I'm afraid to physically engage in his guys. Now he may eventually get some type of reputation and start getting some texts and things like that may slow him down, but he's not afraid to foul hard, and not dirty foul, but foul like you should foul. And what kills him is some ticky-tack fouls. It's some ticky-tack fouls that get him.
I agree with you that he don't foul soft. He definitely don't foul soft. But like when he's playing against guys like DeMarcus Cousins and Dwight Howard, he's fouling them guys hard on purpose.
Oh,
listen to, he is fouling them guys hard on purpose. He is getting in their head. And like you say, it's not a bad thing. I love it. But he has to be careful.
Yeah.
Because now, because if like say he does become good, and he'll be notorious. He'll be one of them guys like Rasheed Wallace
that's notorious
Yeah,
for
that's my concern. Yep.
that is a concern for me. You know, I love the fact that he plays hard. He plays hard every. He brings it every night. Unlike some players, unlike one player on this team, I ain't gonna say something. Unlike one on this team, uh, he brings it every night, man, and you can't do nothing but respect that. But to your
Yeah.
point, everybody saying that, oh, he's the next Ben Wallace. I mean, even though I don't agree with that, and I don't see that, I see why people are saying that, though,
Yeah,
man.
the excitement.
Listen, man. One thing about Detroit is a blue collar city, man.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in and you play hard, fans will love you.
Yeah.
Fans will love you. Guys like Rick Mahorn, Bill Laimbeer,
Lay the
hell,
foundation.
Jerome Williams, uh,
That's my dog right there, Jerome
uh,
Williams.
Lindsey Hunter, his second run with the Pistons, because his first run with the Pistons, man, I
Yeah.
did not like that because he was a lottery pick. But his second run with the Pistons, man, Lindsey
Way
played
more
defense.
appreciated.
That's what the city embraces, man. We embrace that. So I do understand. I do understand fans saying that that he's been Wallace. I don't think he's been Wallace. I think he's gonna be the next Isaiah Stewart. He's gonna carve out his own niche,
Yeah.
and he's gonna be himself. So
Yeah. That's good, man. So we're gonna get ready to close this out, man. Any final thoughts? Any final words? Anything you want to just drop on the people?
I'm,
Something they need to think and look for?
I'm just happy that they decided to rebuild. And people can call it a retool all they want to. This is a rebuild. I'm looking forward to what the next step is going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get in the draft come this summer. I just want us to continue to improve all the young players. I would, and I'm gonna say this about Killian. What they should do, let him sit out the season.
Yeah,
Don't
I agree.
don't rush him back. Please don't rush him back. It's a hip injury, a serious hip injury at that. You don't want to rush that. So I say let these guys grow and let the youngsters play. And you saw what we did last night. Should have been I felt like it should have been a win last night. We should have beat the Lakers, but hey, can't win them all. But that's my thought.
All right, man. As always, guys, I appreciate Jamal, and I'm telling you, there's certain guys I just listen to. I ain't said we always agree, but it's certain guys I listen to. Jamal, he's been one of them guys I listened to from the start of him being in the DPC group and the Detroit Pistons News group. Like I said, we don't agree, but he's somebody. Every time I hear him talk, I take it into heart. Like I say, he put some thought behind it. It's not just hating. It's not just we may not agree, but it may not just. I don't get that. Oh, he's hating on nobody thing, and he just really drops some truth. So I would definitely say in the Detroit Pistons News group, and updates. Listen to what Jamal got to say, man. He dropped some gems. He's predicted things ahead of time. So I give kudos where kudos. He predicted rebuild. He called Blake Griffin being a bad trade. If I don't call it a bad trade, I just the outcome is bad. But he called Blake Griffin and the injury happened around about this time. He called some things, man. So he's one of the guys, he got his ear to the ground. He knows what he's talking about. So definitely follow him in the Detroit Pistons News group. Support that group, Detroit Pistons News, led by Ramona and my girl Perry. And then over here in the DPC group, man, like, share, invite people to the group. I'm going to be uploading this to the YouTube page, the Narrative YouTube page. I'm going to put the link, and we're just going to keep it rolling, man. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have a great one. All right. Have a dope day.